Hi, my loves. Today I want to talk to you about how Neville Goddard did speak about limiting beliefs and blocks. I'm just going to use these words because they're catchphrases that you hear so much about, I'm sure, because I know that I did. And I want to share with you exactly how he spoke about them and exactly what to do with any limiting belief, any fear, any doubt, because they feel like a monstrosity. They feel huge. They feel like impossible, like to overcome. Whether it's something that you feel about yourself or something else, I want to share with you and a client how I walked her through really dismantling this. And it's something that I personally use still every day, or whenever something comes up, I should say. And I intend that this will help you as well, that no matter what the obstacle or the belief that is coming up for you that you feel like you cannot overcome, that it is this very small, cute little kitten just wanting you to accept it and love it, and that's it. So before we get started, if you are new, my name is Rose and I am a success and confidence coach, and I love to help people see how they can get in their own way with their mind. Nothing really is in the way. It's just your belief that things are in the way. And these are the things that I help people just release and let go of, so that you can then focus on the things and the desires that you want to experience in your life. And if you are interested in working one-on-one with me, you can go to TheRoseyLife.com. I also have my Badass Confidence group, where you start off with a certain starter package where it has 12 different lessons, and then I'm adding more in those very soon. And as well, I come and show up live for a live session with all of you every Wednesday for answering your questions and just to help expand on what I've already shared in the starter pack, so that you can understand and have a place to ask questions and keep coming back until you feel confident within you. For me, as I've mentioned in many videos already, is that confidence in yourself is Christ consciousness. So, and you might not feel like it happens quickly, or you might feel like you've been struggling with this, but that's okay. The persistence and accountability is how I built this group in this course to be, so that you will have that support and you will continue to see results in your own timing, not in someone else's timing, the way that everybody else is telling you should be experiencing or feeling things. Okay, so you're more than welcome to go to TheRoseyLife.com and read information. The links are in the description box below. So I was listening to one of Neville Goddard's lectures, and I've been listening to it for a while now, and I recently came across it again, and I listened to it a few more times over the last few weeks, and which is why I've kind of taken a break, because I like to come back in where I have had personal experience. I've worked with these things that I talk about here with clients, and then I bring it to YouTube and share it with you. So I just don't come on here and read a book or quote something. I like to test it myself first, because that is what we are told to do. We test it, and then I also test it with my clients, because I have a strong conviction in that I share openly what I am experiencing in my journey. So it is beautiful to know that we never reach a destination, because we're unlimited, and there's so much that we have access to that our little limited senses can't see. And so to forever be leveling up and expanding and learning different ways to see things is just so delicious to me, and I'm always open to that. So I wanted to come back to this lecture that I heard, and it's with Neville, and I believe the lecture is called The Power. And in this lecture, he nails this whole topic of limiting beliefs or blocks. And I know that there's some teachers out there that say that Neville doesn't talk about limiting beliefs or blah, 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 whatever, okay? Because this is going to show you, at least in my perspective, it was very clear. And it really parallels a lot of the things that I use to work with my previous psychotherapy clients. When I did therapy with him, I would help them dismantle these monstrosities, these beliefs, these limitations, these fears that they held on to for years. And some of those things were just like phobias of spiders or flying or of something at work or being left or abandoned or all of these different things that I worked with my clients for over a decade in therapy. And it's funny because then I came across the law and I heard a lot of talk about limiting beliefs and blocks, and all those catchphrases almost feel almost impossible, like it requires some special attention, some special technique, or that you have to do it a certain way, or that you have to look for blocks and limiting beliefs, or that you have to like have these cleared out before you can have a manifestation. All of that is not true, okay? Because any limiting beliefs that come up are going to surface and happen for you naturally. And I'm going to get into this more. So first, let's go back to the lecture I talked about that I've been studying with Neville. And that is, he talks about that he had this vision of an angel, a woman, an angel, and that she was pure love. And then there was this monster, and that this monster is covered in hair and could speak, and he was just awful to look at and to listen to. And that the more angry he would become, meaning Neville in this vision, that the more violent he would become, that the more violent and loud and angry this monster would become as well. So in other words, every time he would get angry, he would get violent, that this monster would also become violent. So in other words, he kept feeding it and feeding it. However, at the same time, he said this monster looked over at this angel, this woman, he says, and he called her mother. So he was this monster, but then when he would see the angel, right, that he would call her mother and he would change. And what he did was he then looked at whatever it is that was worrying him. I'm not exactly sure what was worrying him or what belief he had created in his mind. And he decided to look at the monstrosity, right, with love. And he told the ape or whatever the thing, the monster is that he's describing, which is just symbolic for a story or belief that he had made up in his mind. And when he gave it love, just like that monstrosity reacted to the angel, right, and called it mother, he understood that that's love. So when Neville looked at this thing with love, that thing disintegrated, it just disappeared. So I absolutely love that story, because that monstrosity he's talking about are any of your limiting beliefs, stories, doubts, fears, anything that you think is holding you back, anything that's been rooted in your self-confidence, or you feel like you don't have any confidence, or you feel like you're not beautiful or handsome or sexy, or you feel like you're not good enough, or you feel like you can't get money, or you feel like you can't get the job you want, or whatever it is that you feel like you're fighting yourself against, whatever it is that you feel like you're fighting is that monster. And when you run from the monster, when you hide from it, when you cry and react about this monster, right, the monster becomes bigger and bigger. But when you do exactly what, like Neville said, he stopped and realized that this monster responded to love. And when you do that, when you respond with love, right? And what that means is that you remember who you are, that you are God, and or goddess, or you're the universe, or you're the power. When you remember who you are, that thing, and now you look at it through the eyes of God. You look at these doubts, this insecurity, this fear through the eyes of God, and you look at it as a small child, right? Or like a little kitten or a little puppy, and you pet it and you tell it it's okay, that it is not real, there's nothing to be afraid of, that is not true, that you just made this up. That is where you see it diminish. So for me, this is very clear that Neville is talking about all the stuff, all the bullshit we make up in our mind of stories of why we don't have something, or what we have to do, or we have to get over something, or we have to do a lot of healing, or all of these things, right, that we've been told or we've learned. And when you learn that, understand that if you have a belief that you still need to do a lot of work on yourself, or that you have to change, or that you have to be perfect in some way, or that you have to have penance and, redeem yourself for your previous behavior because of how you acted or whatever, you're the only one self-imposing these limitations. And the more that you go onto the healing journey, the more that you propel these stories with attention, with reacting to them, feeling sorry for yourself, victimizing yourself, saying this is me, that it's just always been me, my whole family's like this, the more that you do that, remember the monster in the story, that you are just allowing it to become bigger, and it will respond to your reaction. It will respond to your feeling victimized. It will respond to that and continue to perpetuate and get bigger to the point where it feels like it's dominating your mind. It feels like it's taking over. It feels like just a mountain that you have to climb of endless searching, endless excavating. It feels monumental only because you are feeding it. But when you pause and you remember who you are, that this thing, this doubt, this fear responds to love. And love, this is what I love about love, right? Is that love always wins. Remember that. I know you guys have seen this posted in Instagram or a movie or whatever. When you hear this quote, love always wins. There's no competition. There's no loser here. Love doesn't say, I'm going to win. Love doesn't say, I got to beat you. I'm going to beat you down with a stick, little monster of a belief. No, it's love is love. And I love, Deepak Chopra said, with love, there are no opposites. Hate is not the opposite of love. Love does not have an opposite, because love is unconditional, and which is who you really are, which is who we really all are. We are unconditional love. There is nothing but God, and there is nothing but love in this world. And anything that is outside of that feeling of love is that monster that you have created, and you keep it alive by reacting to it, by interacting with it, by trying to clean it up, by holding on to your past beliefs or fears. I was working with a client just today, and I've done this many, many times, right? Where a client comes to me and they're just overwhelmed. And this particular person came to me and she was just really feeling like she was trying really hard and controlling the outcome and trying to figure out what she was doing wrong, and that there must be some other process, technique, or something that she needed to do to have her desire. And when I just slowed down to listen to her tell me the story about herself, I went within with her, and I asked her to do the same thing that I'm asking you to do here. And I asked her to look at this version of her that was scared and terrified and afraid and felt like she needed to try. And the first thing that came up with this particular client is she felt this reminder, she had this memory of growing up and being abandoned, being left alone and scared, and no one caring for her, like her parents and whoever else in her home. Like she was all alone, and she felt very unsafe and very guarded. And when we looked at that version of her, and we pretty much revised it, right? We gave her a new outcome where she felt loved, and I had her speak to her little self feeling scared, right? This isn't healing work. This is you going in. This is what came up for her. I didn't ask her to do an inner child work. I didn't ask her to pick a memory. This is what came up for her naturally, and everyone is different when I work with them. And this is what came up for her, and we were able to go in and really figure out where this current fear, where this constant feeling like she needs to do something came up from. And for her, it came up to when she was smaller and feeling really alone and confused and wasn't trusting her choices or trusting her decisions for herself in her life. And when she was able to put those together through love, right? Through love, she was able to sit with that for just a second, and then really just bring that into the here and now. And now she was able to see that it was something that she had carried on for her whole life and brought it into her present moment, unaware. She wasn't aware that she was walking around with this story of fear, and that she had to control everything, and she had to really figure things out for herself because she was all alone. No one's going to help her. So she had to let that go, but she didn't force letting it go. All she did was love that little version of her, revised how her parents felt about her and how they acted with her. And then she brought it into the moment, and she immediately felt that shift of being able to let go of all the trying and controlling and the needing to figure things out. And she was able to have peace now without feeling like this thing that she was fighting, like she was fighting the 3D, she was fighting the world and fighting everyone and having to control it, having to come up with answers. She was able to just relinquish that. And this is just one example, and all my clients are completely different. And even when I do this internal work, when I've done it, it's different. Like different things come up for different people. So it's not a one size fits all. But the point of this video is this lecture of Neville of and you've heard this too, we make mountains out of molehills. Like it could have started just with a small little thought, and you kept focused on it, kept retelling it and retelling it, and then it just became this humongous thing, and that now you experience it in your whole life, in your whole 3D, everywhere you go, whoever you talk to, you keep seeing that reflection of it back to you. And this is how we begin these big beliefs, these so-called limiting beliefs or blocks, right? They're just an experience, a thought, a feeling, a reaction you had, and now it just became this big ass thing, and you keep feeding it by repeating it, by reacting to it, by saying, no, but I have to figure this out, or I have to heal from it. No, it just needs to be accepted and loved. That's all. So I hope that this video was helpful for you guys, and if you need any help or want my help with this, I would love to work with you one-on-one, or you can come into our Confidence Badass group and get support from everyone in there. Everyone is so loving, and many people even in the group talk about how they thought something was just so big, and now it's not. It's insignificant. And I can tell you from firsthand experience that when you're able to have that realization or that release of, that thing I believed to be true for so long it was never a thing. It was just me all along. It was just my thoughts, my perception. I was holding on to this, keeping this monster alive within me, and now I can release it. Now it's no longer a part of me. And you claim that power back that you were giving that monster of a thought or a belief. You call that power back into you where it belongs. It wants to come home. All right, my loves. I love you guys so much, and thank you. I will see you soon. Okay, bye.